I wanted to be a part of our children's and grandchildren's lives. I wanted that for both me and Charles.
I love the idea to have them closer because we can run into each other, we cook for each other.
My parents and my wife and kids, we all thought that it would be a good idea to live close together.
My job is in a continuing care retirement community, so I see what that's like and how many people are isolated in a situation like that. And I realize I don't want that for myself and my family. Let's do this now rather than wait until we need it. I know that if we just stayed by ourselves, we would be this old couple that were just kind of toddling around and, saying hello to the neighbors and never having any kind of live interaction. So with the advent of grandchildren, the idea became more pressing that we find a way to live close to them and be part of their lives. We've lived in this house since the middle of February, so now that's 9 months. Yeah, it took a while to settle in. It was a grief process for both of us, involved in the downsizing. It's a lot of work. And the leaving of a house where we had spent many good years. Yeah. So I'm glad the children didn't move in immediately and that they did some renovation because that made the house their house the way they want it. But that was also difficult for us.
It's all the love, and I like to be together. I like family, I like to be closer to them, and when they get older, it would be easier and cheaper if they have their own place. That would be really respectful for them because they deserve that. As a kid, we respect that, we honor that for them. They have to live with dignity in the place that they love. And if we can provide some care that comes from family.
It's just an easy flow for sharing food and time together.
For the past couple of years when we cook, lots of times we'll cook enough for 15 servings. So we have enough to eat leftovers and all that good stuff. And so it makes it really easy to just invite my parents over, and they will oftentimes do the same thing.
The town of Hillsborough was having public hearings on the idea of amending the ordinance to allow accessory dwelling units. So the idea of building a unit came about when Hillsborough made it possible, actually. So I looked at AARP's Home Fit Guide and studied that and made notes on it. The pocket doors are space savers, so that was the main reason for them. There's a grab bar by the toilet, and the toilet is a little higher than the average toilet. 2 grab bars in the shower. We talked about whether to put a bench in the shower and decided at this point we'd rather have the space, and at a later time we can have a shower chair. It's recommended by people who think of universal design and AARP's House Fit program, Home Fit program. The carport is excellent. This is beautiful. He loves it and I love it too. Just to have easy access from a vehicle to the house where you're carrying things and getting in and out during the weather.
The generational experience and traditions and love that they can send that to their grandkids is something very important to me as a mother, and of course to my husband as well.
I mean, we couldn't do this 10 years from now. Not only that, the children would be out of the house. I mean, it's both their ages and this is the time to be part of their lives, and also we're able now. We should make the adjustment now. When Eldon, who is 2, almost 3, walks over, knocks on the door and says, "Hi, Grandpa," what are you gonna do?
I feel like the timing was right for me. 5 years ago might have been a little too soon. I had just retired from work 5 years ago. And then after that got to be a little bit older, I was like, maybe it's time to go ahead and build an ADU or move into something smaller. So, and Raymond at that point was like, "No, you cannot move. We're gonna do the ADU." I said, "Great." The biggest advantage to me moving here has probably been knowing that my health could fail down the road with my disability, with the ataxia, and that having the support from people that live in the front house. And that's one of the things we considered here as well, is Raymond and Joanne have, the extra bedrooms upstairs, that if down the road we all need a caregiver, we could offer somebody room and board in exchange for, and a salary in exchange for taking care of the three of us if we needed assistance. We already have a ramp that was installed in probably early 90s, and that was for my sister and her friend, Eleanor, so that they could get in and out of the house easily down the road when needed. So we wanted to make sure that when we did get into the house and needed to go out to the porch or anything like that, we had these 0-step curbs going out so that the walker would roll across them really easily. When we were designing the house, I had lived since 1991 with a covered front porch, and I knew that I was going to miss that. So I asked Gail, can I have that? She said, of course we can give you a covered front porch. And then at that time they decided to add the little cover over the steps going out into the driveway, so that in the future, if we needed to add a ramp, we would add the ramp right where the stairs are, and the ramp would come up to a covered area so that you would be covered and out of the rain pretty quickly. So when we were talking about the design with the architect, Kim, I asked her to make sure that we had under the counter lighting in the kitchen. I asked for pull-out drawers and everywhere I could get them in the kitchen, and that has been a really great thing as far as, being easier to get in and out, my pots and pans, everything. Other things, in the bathroom, we asked for the comfort height toilet seats or toilets so that it's easier to get up and off the toilet as you're older. Yes, all operable windows throughout the house are crank out windows. Boy, that has been really huge too. I love how easy it is to open and close the windows now. I think the reason I wanted pocket doors is because it is a small space. I didn't want the door to open out into the room or into the closet and take up space. Probably the thing I like the most about living here is the screen porch that has been amazing during COVID for gathering, social distance gathering, to eat dinners with neighbors and friends. And then I have a little ramp that goes off the porch out into the storage building and the lot, where I can just go out and take care of my dog when I need to, and it's step-free, no steps, so it's wonderful. I think things have exceeded my every expectation. It's just been fabulous. It's been wonderful to be so close to my sister and her partner, and it's wonderful. I couldn't ask for anything else.
So I bought this house in 2005, actually moved in 2004 as a renter, and was able to buy it from the owner about a year later. We had started talking pretty quickly after that about having Susie come down and live in the back house. Her situation in New York was not very convenient. She lived in the second floor of an apartment with stairs. Her electric scooter had to live in a nearby store, and they had to pay the storekeeper to store the scooter and keep it charged up there when they wanted to go out. So it was just not a very convenient way of life, and being closer seemed like a good idea.
I've always been self-supporting. I was able to be quite independent in Durham when I first moved down here with the scooter. But then with the stroke, it got harder.
We really took a good look at the place and realized how much work it was going to need in order to really make it accessible and for her to be able to live back there independently.
Paul and Jilly had already put in the wooden ramp outside, but to get from Paul and Jilly's house back to the small house behind was basically a muddy path.
So we brought in a contractor to do some repairs, and some accessibility modifications, and also build. We had kind of like a paver's path down to the back, which had been like partially covered in mud and also was not going to work for a scooter. So we replaced that with just like a concrete path.
The bathroom, the entrance door to the bathroom, I guess, is wide. And the toilet has a elevated seat. The stove and kitchen area was down low. So in a way, it's a process of a continual adaptation of the house. You know, this is a house that had previously undergone a lot of changes. And but for me, it's been continually adapted.
So I think accessory dwellings are a great option for Durham for a couple of reasons. We have a lot of open land in our urban areas where there are houses on big lots, essentially, where there's a lot of backyard space. We also know that older adults are our fastest growing population group. We expect to have that population to continue to grow in the city, to expect to have even more older adults living in Durham over the next 10 to 20 years. And so housing and resources for older adults is a big priority for the city and the county. And I think ADUs are increasingly popular as well. People see them as a great opportunity to either have a family member come and live nearby in their backyard, or to rent them out to other folks for a little bit of extra income. And because they're small, they're going to be a lot more affordable than a lot of the other housing options.
I have two wonderful grandchildren. When I first arrived, there was one who was, I guess, 5 or 6 at that time. And then eventually there was a second one who's now 7.
But the ADU is I think a great solution where you have your own space, but you're still close and you can see each other and interact. And the kid, Langston's been going back there on his own since he was 4, so it's nice to be that close and for them to have that freedom to just go back and see grandma whenever they want.